name is Francesca. And I just ducked out of my presentation. There we go. I'm Francesca. I am an employment and training specialist with Job Center of Wisconsin, Milwaukee Job Service. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
You can nod or
Coming in clear.
mics are off. I am really excited about this today because I used to work as a career coach doing what Tony is doing, well, which is way more than career coach, a lot of administrative stuff with TechHire. And then I was responsible for some presentations and stuff like that, along with a few other coworkers. Our contract ended with TechHire in June of last year. So you guys are probably the first class that I haven't actually had a chance to meet. So I'm meeting you virtually, and I appreciate this opportunity to just kind of share some time and space with you for a minute. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about soft skills. They're pretty relative. This is kind of a nice intro employability workshop because it applies, specifically to you. Resumes are yours, and how you interview is you. But soft skills are, to me, says the most about who you are and what you can sell about yourself. So I'm going to bring up the presentation, share the screen for it, and hopefully it's automatically on the, and it's not, let's see. Let's do that. Okay, everybody see that? Soft skills? Yay, you can nod.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this was video that I wanted to share. I'm just not going to chance it. I really hate being defeated, but I am going to opt out of that for now and go into just the basic definition of soft skills. And basically, it's a cluster of personal qualities, habits, attitudes, social graces that make you a good employee, a good person, compatible to work with. Hard skills are what you know, as, for example, your education, your how many words you type per minute, data entry, your medical background or whatever, as far as your skill set goes. Soft skills are a little bit more across the board, and they transfer between industries and occupations. Within soft skills, there are personal and interpersonal soft skills there. So to just kind of to compare those, and they all kind of work together. They can all kind of blend back and forth, but examples of interpersonal attributes, and I guess I should go back and give you a chance to read that definition. Interpersonal deals with abilities that are considered your strengths, your personal skills rather deal with your strengths. Interpersonal skills deal with how you refer to how you deal with others. Both are equally as important. When you're doing your resume and when you are in interviews, you want to make sure that you touch on some of both of those. Personal skills say a lot about who you are. Interpersonal skills deal with how you relate and communicate with others, and that's very important on the jobs. Examples of interpersonal skills, or interpersonal attributes rather, would be something like empathy, leadership, communication, teamwork, how you work with others. The example I give with empathy is, for me and my coworkers, we deal with a lot of people. We deal with people who are unemployed. They come to us in a really, sometimes a bad space. They've just lost their job. They are walking in and having to apply for unemployment benefits for the first time. It's a scary time, a very frustrating time. One very necessary interpersonal attribute that my coworkers and I must have is empathy. Just kind of being understanding, being patient with a person, helping guide them through a process, that kind of thing. For you, and I have one in my mind, but does anybody have an example of how you would use empathy as a service desk, service desk technician? Any ideas there? And you can jump in, and if not, then we'll ask Tony. Anybody? Okay. So as a help desk technician, I would say empathy would be understanding that a person is calling you extremely frustrated, right? They can't get their computer on, they're looking at it, the screen is black, they're hitting every button, and your job is to say, things like, well, I understand this is pretty frustrating, let's take a look. you know, versus did you turn it on yet? Is it plugged in? Right? That's not being empathetic, right? So taking the time to be understanding about a person's situation. Even something as simple as good manners goes across the board. Did somebody have something to add? Okay. Good manners, something that goes just across the board, greeting people as you arrive to work, good morning, smiling, cleaning up your workspace, keeping your workspace clean, or even the break room if you have a spill in the microwave, being conscientious of, you know, keeping spaces clean and things like that. It's how you interact in the space with other people. Communication skills, another one that goes across the board. You almost have to have good communication skills in any job that you work in. We have some people that leave tech hire and they end up, you know, like service technicians. They show up, they work on the machine and they leave. But there's still communication with either the person that you're getting the orders from, or when you arrive at a location, you know, to be able to ask what the problem is, and then have active listening skills to understand what they're telling you so that you know the course of action to take. Is everybody following me and good on that? You can just kind of give a yes or nod, okay? Examples of personal attributes are about you. And the list here is certainly not a full list of those attributes, but equally as important on a job. Optimism, having a positive attitude, I had to be optimistic when I was given this assignment. I am the least techie person, and I've been told that I'm going to present online. I'm working from home, so now I have to be responsible for setting this up and figuring this out. Optimism is key, especially going into a new job. You have to approach things with a positive attitude and plan for a positive outcome so that you can leave yourself open to opportunities. This is a great opportunity for, you know, I'm sure that I'm going to need down the line. And I was able to challenge myself, take a positive spin on it, and then make it work. That does a lot for confidence. It does a lot for self-motivation. I was responsible for making this happen. I'm accountable if it doesn't, you know, those kind of things. Does anybody have any examples of how some of these personal attributes will help you in the line of work that you plan on going to? You can share your name, the line of work, and how you feel it's something, you know, may be of it, something that you would be able to use in your situation that you're going into. Anybody? Y'all just gonna let me talk for an hour? That's what we're doing? Okay, I'll do it. Matter of fact, I can talk for 2 if nobody says anything. So there we go. All right. Also,
I think someone just said something in the chat as well too. I'm not sure if you saw that pop up.
I don't, because my whole screen is up when I have share screen. So let me see if I can make this work. Let me see. Yep. And because I was doing this before and I don't want to do stop share. So yeah, let me just try to figure it out. I don't want to mess anything up. So let's
and everyone, it's okay to unmute and answer a question.
Guys, I cannot see the chat. And I don't want to, I did it pretty well when I was practicing with Tony and James, but now that I have the share screen up, it's full screen for me. And that concerns me because now I can't see, I can just see a few tiles. So if I, oh wait, okay, here's something that says more, because bear with me guys. See, you gotta be open to.
It might be on the right. There are 3 dots, and it says more on the bottom of 3 dots.
Yeah,
if you touch it, it will show up different things.
I see that, but I don't see where I can optimize.
And then there is meeting settings, minimize meeting, chat, and virtual background. Raise your hand. All those things are listed.
That's funny because I have, oh, okay. How about chat at the top? I'm sorry, I overlooked that. There we go. All right, and then, so supervisor asked if I wanted him to water my plant. So your mic isn't working. They can help people feel comfortable with you and build trust. That was from Jaquan. Thank you for sharing that. And then Tony has invited you guys to ask by chat. And I have vision issues, so the smaller this everything gets, it kind of gives me a little bit of trouble. So thank you for being patient with me. But does anybody want to add anything to comparing?
Yeah. Question. Like when you said that interpersonal skills are, if you go in the morning, say for example, and say good morning, and it makes you feel better, and maybe the other person also. But how do you do when you say good morning to everybody and nobody else is answering and they are just doing their work and you are passing by? That's not the interpersonal skill then.
Well, I think that they're not maybe in a situation like that. If someone is not receiving your salutation of the day, you hit the nail on the head when you said you feel better. If, we can't control that. So we walk in and you be who you are every day. If you're that person that goes in and I'm kind of like that too, like, hey, good morning. And if, you don't receive that back, sometimes people are so focused, they're not paying attention. And other times it's just, you did your part. You did what you would normally do. I remember a couple months ago at work, we had, it was a rough time. A lot of things are changing right now. It was like right before holidays, short staffed and a bunch of stuff. And, you could just kind of feel a little bit of tension. And as I walked in, I'm like, hey guys, what's going on? Good morning, unicorns and butterflies. And they all looked at me like, get out. Like, nobody felt like unicorns and butterflies that morning. But it was okay. I did my part. We had a laugh about it later. You just have to go in and be who you are. And if you're that positive spirit in the room, then that you keep doing that. Anybody else? All right, let's move forward. It's often said that hard skills will get you the interview, it'll get you the job, but soft skills are what kind of help you keep the job. What this means is we talked about hard skills being the what you know, the education, things that are tangible. You type 90 words a minute, you know how to, fix, I don't know anything about cars, but fix cars or, things like that. Those are the things that you'll put on a resume that will kind of get you in, but then you need to kind of transition and sell the soft skills to help you get the job. A lot of times in interviews, and you'll hear this when Mike does the interview workshop, they want to know, are you a fit for, and when I say the culture, I don't mean literal culture, but are you a fit for the environment of the workplace? Are you a team player? When you get ready to tweak your resume, when you look at a job description and it says that they're looking for someone, we're looking for a self-starter who can hit the ground running and learn, quickly learn the job and do this, and that. Those are soft skills that they're looking for. Are you a self-starter? Are you resourceful? Are you a problem solver? If you see things like that in the job description, then you want to make sure that you list those things like that in your resume. Anybody have anything to add about that?
Yeah, okay, hold on.
Anyone?
I guess the one thing that I add too is that you're kind of right on from the standpoint of kind of like if you're going to a job interview and the interview or the hiring manager is trying to choose between two candidates and both have the technical job. So who would they choose? And they will probably lean back on some of the soft skills that they may have seen in the interview in order to make their decision.
Absolutely. That's a good point. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, rolling along. And I just kind of mentioned this before, but a little bit with, presenting your resume. In society, we kind of live through things that are tangible, quantifiable metrics. You complete the assignment, you come to class, you learn what you're supposed to learn, and you show it in a test, you get the A. That's pretty standard. And I'm just moving some things around my screen here. That's pretty standard. You go to work, you put out 20 widgets in an hour, and that's the goal, and you get a good review. But in the workplace, for the most part too, most things will deal with the more use of your soft skills, your emotional intelligence, paying attention to the situation, Um, Even when I jokingly say I walked into a group of coworkers and it was just kind of a tense situation, and then I kind of came in with unicorns and butterflies. That probably wasn't, the move. I didn't assess the situation, but paying attention to what's going on around you, being willing to help, listening, to what people have to say. Active listening skills are a super soft skill in under the area of communication skills. Um, you know, again, you have to be able to assess a situation and learn how to respond in it. That also falls under the area of just using kind of basic common sense. Anybody have anything to add on that with emotional intelligence and using the assessment of the situation versus an actual knowledge of something? Anyone?
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Could you please repeat?
Hello.
Hi, Jaquan, are you saying something?
Yes. I just wanted to say that it can help people, can help show people that you are aware of what's going on.
And there's some noise going on somewhere else, but help show people that you're aware of
What's going on and that you're interested in the conversation.
Right, kind of being in touch and in tune.
Yeah.
Right, with what's going on. Anyone else? Thank you for sharing.
I just want to include that. I just want to repeat James's message. If you guys can see it in the chat, if you guys can mute your mics if people aren't talking, then unmute if you do have a question. That'd be great because we're hearing a lot of background noise.
Thank you. And I didn't get that, so I don't know if oh, there it is. Okay, it's kind of coming through a little slow. Thank you, guys. All right, moving right along. If it'll, whoops, forward. And I'm like moving tiles around because I'm scared to minimize anything. But also with regard to soft skills, there was a list of like a million. And I just want to kind of take a look and discuss a few so that the muting and unmuting of the mic came up at perfect timing. But taking a look at a few soft skills to see, does anybody have any question about what soft skills actually are and how they pertain to, you in your job search and workforce or anything like that? Because again, it's very relative. It's not something that's super tangible. So any questions about anything that we've covered so far? No? All right. Okay, so taking a look at, and I keep forgetting to, there we go. Taking a look at a few soft skills. We talked a little bit about courtesy. One note, bullet point that we have at the bottom where you can kind of display courtesy as you approach your job search is sending thank you notes after a phone interview or an in-person interview. That really stands out. It kind of shows an employer that you're thoughtful. And so you may be the kind of person that would jump in and help when needed, or things like that. But also just basic good manners. And I can't pronounce or remember your name, but you mentioned kind of coming in and saying hello and good morning and maybe people not responding. But even in the interview process, or when you receive a phone call for an interview, they call and ask you to come in for an interview next Tuesday at whatever time, and you take notes, and then at the end, you're like, well, thank you, I'm looking forward to seeing you. Those kind of things stand out. When you arrive, good morning, and as you're walking through the corridors being led from the reception area to the interview room, as people pass by, good morning, with a smile, or just a simple smile as you walk by and go throughout that process. Being, considerate. One thing I do when a key that I give when I'm doing the interviewing workshops, which will be done by somebody else this time, but do you have any idea how one simple thing will make you stand out in a crowd of a group of people is pushing your chair in at the end of a meeting? Something so very simple. We're taught it in kindergarten. People don't do it. But it's one of those things that will stand out. If anybody notices it, it's going to stand out for the better. So, there may be 10 interviews that day, but you're the person that stands up, pushes your chair in, and extends your hand and says, thank you for the opportunity. That's going to be remembered. They may not get you the job, but it's definitely going to be remembered. Anybody have any examples of courtesy and, you know, just courteous behavior in the workplace, or funny examples of somebody that you've worked with that is exactly not?
Hello.
Anybody? Hi, Jaquan again.
I often have trouble with that, like greeting people, I'll say. Like, I don't know when it's appropriate. I guess it's appropriate a lot of the time, but I have trouble, like, knowing if people will be receptive to that, I guess I'll say.
Being receptive to courtesy?
Yeah, or like, yeah, like me trying to do that with everyone.
Okay,
Kind of have trouble like picking and choosing.
sure. I don't know if Tony or James or anybody else has anything to add. I think assessing a situation is really good. Just kind of paying attention sometimes. You may not come in new on a job, or even definitely not new in an interview, starting small talk with everyone. Good morning is a common courtesy. Good afternoon is a common courtesy. That shouldn't be met with any resistance. If it is, then you're not the one with the problem. People that can't receive a good morning, then you learn that after a couple days on the job. If this guy just scowls at you every time you say good morning, then you pull back. You assess it, you give it an opportunity, and then you keep it pushing. But we do have to learn to assess people, and it takes time. Everybody is not going to be receptive to small talk about the weather. And you'll also learn that some people, you'll ask a question and they'll hold you hostage for 10 minutes. So you learn not to, maybe engage with that person if your workload is a little heavy. It's kind of like you would do in any other situation, I would think, as you go in, don't go in the life of the party, not in an interview, not in a new job. You go in and you pay attention to your environment and your surroundings and who's around you, because you want to know who you can get to know, who you can trust, who has good information, who's just talking, who's the angry person on the job that's just happy to bring anybody down in that, pool of misery with them, and who's going to give you positive feedback and information. Does that help at all, Jaquan? Yes or no?
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got a suggestion.
Hey, Brian, thank you.
I'm an introvert, and introverts are supposed to have problems with small talk. So sometimes I think the way I overcame that in my life is trying to be somewhat, a little bit, the jokester. Now, Francesca can either affirm that or deny that.
Yeah.
And she's worked with me long enough, but that's how I try and deal with it. But of course, as if with anything, not everybody gets my humor, I've noticed. Most people do, but not everybody does. So you kind of have to still read the nonverbal cues, which is about, I read somewhere that's about 65% of how humans communicate is nonverbally, the facial expressions, even the voice inflections and things like that. So you kind of have to try and read those, since that's about 65% of the communication that we use, and try and fit what you're getting from that to that person when you communicate with them. And it's going to take practice. If you just started doing that now, you're not going to have it mastered by tomorrow. It's just kind of be patient. It's going to be trial and error, and kind of do what works for you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Remy, do you want to mute your mic? Thank you. Oh, I didn't mean video. I'm sorry. It was just a lot going on in that little tile. So if we can get him back, that would be awesome. It's just the mic I meant. Anybody else? All right. Kind of moving along to another very quality soft skill would be flexibility, adjusting and adapting to new situations. Not one of my strong points. I will admit that, but I will share an example with you. Because I see a before and an after. When I was first invited or assigned to tech hire in June of 2018, I was not happy, and not because it wasn't a great thing, it's because I didn't know, like, what did I do? Why am I being assigned to work offsite at a different location in a field that I don't know anything about? All of these tech students are going to be way smarter than me. And I am not going to be able to answer any of their questions. It was just such a really big deal. And Tony can attest to, there's a lot more to it than, just doing the employability workshops. There's a lot of managing and helping students and bringing people in and everything. But I decided after a couple of weeks of kind of fighting it, that I decided that I am going to learn something new. I decided that things are done for me and not to me. Things are done for my learning so that I can improve and be better. So if I'm flexible and I'm open to new situations, then I'll be able to see growth and change. I didn't know that for a fact, but I guarantee you that this is working today because I was open to change and opportunity in June of 2018. I fought it. And when I received it, I learned so much. It was an amazing experience to be at Tech Hire doing what Tony's doing now. And I learned so much about myself, of what my, what's the word I'm looking for? Skills and qualities that I didn't know that I had to tap into. So I became a better employee and a better person for it. And it builds confidence when you walk into something new and you tackle it. Man, it does wonders for your confidence. This would be something, and, I was joking earlier with some of you that were on, somebody said, well, yeah, you look like you got it down pat. I'm like, that's exactly how it's supposed to look, but I was nervous about that, but I had confidence that I would be able to do this. So I shared a story with you guys because some of you are a little quiet, but does anybody want to share a story about a time where they fought flexibility or where they came into adapting to change and something really worked out for them as a learning experience? Anybody at all?
I can speak on when I first get into a job. I just recently got a new job, but I try to just do my best in every little role that I get. And then if I do overachieve or something, that helps boost my overall attitude towards the situation. So it's more of I'm ready and I still am able to do more.
Sure, absolutely. That's a great testimony and testament. And I think, the more we push ourselves and try to do and open ourselves to things, we'd be surprised at what we can actually learn and accomplish. And if you try, there's really no such thing as a failure. Like if you try and it doesn't go exactly as you planned, you still have something to take away from every experience. So opening yourself up, and sometimes you're asked to do new things because it's believed that maybe you will rise to the occasion. It's not a punishment. It's actually maybe a compliment. So anybody else? Tony, you want to add anything? I don't know if James is on. I only have 6 tiles, so it's not showing me.
Yeah, I mean, I can jump in on what you were saying, jumping into the Tech Hire career coach position.
Mm-hmm.
My last position had similarities, but wasn't exactly the same. So me jumping into a position where I dealt with more hands-on people and just, connecting right away, there was definitely some adjustment that had to be made.
Sure.
One thing, it was a little uncomfortable, yes, but I think that's, one thing that helps me develop is being put in an uncomfortable situation and kind of adapting. So that's what exactly kind of happened with me at Tech Hire. The training was a little different from what I was used to, but, adapting and just kind of moving forward. Now, I feel great and I'm more comfortable in my position. So, yeah, that was my experience with kind of like what you were going through, Francesca.
Absolutely. And look at the great people that you have a chance to meet. It's weird for me, kind of old school, meeting people virtually, but I know the classes that I was there for, the paths that you cross, and we're there to train and offer to people, but then with regard to Tech Hire, but then we gained so much from people that we had an opportunity, to share time and space with. So it really is a win-win when you open yourself up to trying new things and doing something new and testing and pushing yourself. So thank you for sharing that. Another soft skill that's very important, and they all are, if it applies to you or not, but they all are, is being a team player. Can you work effectively in a group? Do you listen, and are you open to other people's opinions? Sometimes, and I keep using Tech Hire as an example because you guys are there, but when I got to Tech Hire, it was me. I was brought there to work with there were 2 guys there, 1 guy left, and the initial plan was for me to work with the second guy. There were supposed to be 2 of us. That guy got another job, and so my first weekend was his last weekend, and it was on my shoulders. That was a kind of a scary thing, but I jumped in and I came up with all these processes and everything the way I wanted to do things. And I'm like, okay, fine, I can do this by myself. And then they sent me help, which was great, but I had to listen to, and not help, but a coworker, I shouldn't say it that way. But then I had to also, now I had all these plans of how I was gonna do it, and I was a one-woman show, and I had to be open to other people's opinions and other people, someone else's ideas. There was first came James, and then my coworker Heather. Then there was the 3 of us along with Mike, and Tony came in, and you know, my way wasn't the right way or the highway or whatever that saying is. We all contributed to that, to the success of that program. You have to be able to listen to what other people are saying. The biggest part of communicating is actually what you take in, and then how you respond to it. Listen effectively, not listen waiting to speak, and to work in a group where everybody's opinion matters. If you have leadership skills, you may be the person that sees a strength in someone that is not your strength and say, you know what, well, I'll let you handle the tech part of it. Not I'll let, but hey, how about you handle the tech part of this? You were really good at this, and then I'll make sure that I have the administrative paperwork together. That's a team, you know, seeing other people's strengths and weaknesses. Or if, you know, you're not the leadership person, being able to take direction from someone else that says, hey, you know, Sean, you seem to be really great at this part of it, so I'm going to ask you to do this, and then the 3 of us will handle this. Does anybody have any input on that, where, you know, they had an experience where they had to work as a team, whether by choice or by force, or a funny story of somebody who didn't work very well as a team, maybe not yourself, but somebody you had to work with? Anything to add there?
Well, I was just in school for in a boot camp for coding, and we had to do different teams every week. Sometimes they mismatched us, and you find that you get a lot of different personalities on the team, so you have to kind of find out everybody's strengths and weaknesses on the fly.
Sure.
And so we did have a guy that he would always make excuses why he couldn't contribute to the team. He was too tired, or something happened the night before. And being a team player, it kind of forces you to step up into those roles that other people step down from.
Absolutely.
And being able to recognize what's going on and where you're needed and where you need to step back from when you're on the team. So.
Yeah, great points. And sometimes it'll help you, again, any new situation, because working with other people is always going to be a new situation, right? Help you also kind of figure out some of your strengths and qualities too, where, like you said, you may have to step in and do something that somebody else was going to do. It may help you learn to just bite your tongue and go with the flow, where you may normally be the vocal person that blasts this person out, you know, but in a group setting, you think, well, that may not work here, kind of using common sense and, you know, discernment and things like that. And I can appreciate, you know, group teams and group settings, especially at work or in school, because it helps build those qualities. Even communication, where you might have to pull somebody aside and go, hey man, you know, we're all contributing here. And, you know, the team feels like, you know, you may be speaking on behalf of everyone else. And that's a quality that you can build too. But it sounds like you know, your best strength was just handle it. And that's kind of how I am. Look, if I do it, it'll get done, right? So that's great. Thank you for sharing, Dwayne. Anybody?
I was gonna say, sometimes you have to make the decisions quickly too, because you can't say, okay, next time I'm going to step up. You know, next time sometimes doesn't come, so you have to step up quickly and make.
Yeah. Grades depend on it. Bottom lines at jobs depend on it. You don't get to waver and think about things too often. Absolutely right. I didn't create this PowerPoint. I did update it to meet our requirements, but this slide is a little interesting to me. So We're going to chat about this very briefly, but you know, we all talk about good eye contact, right? And it's not a comfortable thing for, you know, everyone, but it's important. And if you are not good at making good eye contact, at least being engaging. I have vision issues, and so it's a little uncomfortable for me to really, you know, give someone my full and complete eye contact. Is uncomfortable for me. So I've worked out other ways to make sure that people know that I'm engaging. You know, I may look away from time to time to kind of refocus and regroup, but I smile, I nod, I kind of give the occasional okay. So, you know, the eye contact is not so much, you know, hypnotizing somebody, like looking into their soul with your eyes and, you know, creeping them out, you know, because there's a fine line and a balance with that, but it's more about effectively communicating that you're engaged in the conversation, that you're utilizing active listening skills, right? So that's kind of straightforward. Anybody have anything to add to that? I used to be in human resources, and I can tell people, sometimes people who were uncomfortable making eye contact, but then they made me uncomfortable because they were working so hard at it that I thought they were like X-ray vision or something like that. Lena, do you have something to add? Okay. All right. Or we might want to mute or make sure we're all on mute.
Sorry.
That's okay. Did you have something to add?
No, one of my kids just pressed the button.
Okay.
I muted it. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we're all going to get used to this whole working from home and sharing space with people around us, and that's again adaptability, right? And also reinventing and recreating, and you know, this new way of life that we're all living in. So that's going to be a test and a testament for a lot of us. Anybody else have anything to add? Something employers are really looking for is a solid work ethic, positive work ethic, solid work ethic, and a positive attitude. If you have a great work ethic though and a negative attitude, which one do you think is going to ride over the other? You know, you come to work, you get the job done, you make sure that all the ducks are in a row, and you do that, but you're complaining about it the whole way, right? Hey, Tony, can you, you know, make sure that all these widgets are from pile A to pile B over here? Oh my God, why does she keep asking me to do this? And then the whole time you're moving one to the other. Brian sits right over there, and she never asks Brian. Now the widgets are getting moved, and in 30 minutes, I have a pile of 100 over here. And now that pile of 100 is over here where I want it. But I've listened to the griping and the complaining in the background the whole time. The job was done, but the attitude was terrible. So sometimes that's the thing that will keep an employer from giving you a great review, and we'll talk about that. You know, and you sit in a review in your evaluation, and you go, well, yeah, I get the job done. Yeah, but you're complaining and griping about it the whole time, and you're bringing the morale of the team down the whole time, and you're stirring up storms in little areas the whole time. So getting the job done is only half the battle. How you get the job done, the attitude in which you present and perform the job is actually more than half the battle. Anybody have anything to add? I'm going to pick on you, Brian. Anything you want to say, or I'm just asking because you're on the screen right now.
I just want to say that I find that it's good it helps to, like, if something's unpleasant, it helps to like really engage in it, to try to find something positive in it. And that could help your attitude, and that'll definitely help your ethic to get it done like more efficiently.
I love that. I actually live by that. I'm glad that you said that. In the example that with Tech Hire, it wasn't maybe so much, and I wasn't angry about it. I just didn't understand it, and it wasn't my element. I'm a worker bee. I work. I'm enjoying working from home and all of that. But the thing with Tech Hire, when I first got there, I felt out of my element, and I was afraid to fail. I was afraid to not do a good job. And so my positive attitude actually turned into a warrior attitude. Like, I'm going to slay this. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm going to conquer this. And again, approaching things with that with that type of attitude can make it more pleasant. It became, I'm really competitive more with myself than other people. So and anything that I share with you is to maybe a tip that works for you, you know. So I'm sharing these things not because I'm so great, but because I had to discover these things about myself, and hopefully you'll go, well, yeah, next time I end up in a situation like that, I'm just going to conquer it. You know, if you never thought about that before, but doing that will kind of help the approach. And I then stop focusing on why I didn't think I should be there and why they would be happy they brought me here, you know, which worked out, I think, pretty well. But anybody else have anything to add? Like my tiles keep increasing and decreasing. I get a lot of people, then I get a very few people. And basic belief in the moral value of work. I mean, an honest day's work for an honest day's pay, you know. People, you don't work, you don't eat kind of situation. You know, do your best at anything you want to do. If I asked, use Tony as an example, to move all the widgets from one side of the room to the other, don't just move them and toss them aside. You know, stack them up neatly. Make sure that you take pride in the work that you're doing. I'm kind of, I don't know the word I want to use, but you know, when I staple papers together, it's really irritating if they're not, corners are just not right together. That's a small thing, but my papers are neat. When I give you something, it's neat. You know, when you give something to your boss or to your coworkers or anything like that, make sure that it's neat and well done to the best of your ability, that somebody else can just pick it up and run with it. Anybody else have anything to add on positive work ethic and positive attitude? Anybody worked with anybody that has a really negative attitude, funny short story to share, or how you handle working with someone you have a positive attitude and they don't kind of reciprocate that same vibe?
As a former frontline supervisor, I can tell you I worked with both, and it's much more, sometimes I spent more time trying to change the person that had the bad attitude than I did actually doing the rest of my job as a supervisor. And it can, to your point before, it can really bring the whole team's morale down, because you got one person that's constantly bad mouthing, and it may not even be bad mouthing something at work, they could be bad mouthing something that's going on in their personal life.
Sure.
It just brings everything down. And yeah, as a supervisor, you just don't want to have to deal with that every day. You want to get things done. So I can, from what you said before, I can affirm it as being a former frontline supervisor. It just makes things so much better if you don't have that constant griping and complaining. And if you're on probation, and some jobs still have that, that would be one thing that, even though you're doing a job and the company says, well, you didn't pass your 60-day probation or whatever it is, 90 days, that might be why.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also as a coworker, you brought up something really, really important. You know, sometimes supervisors are spending so much time focusing on the bad apple or the negativity that they're not giving the time and attention to, you know, the people that are actually on the front lines and really doing the work. But as a worker as well, you know, when you talk about the morale being brought down, and earlier, I forgot who mentioned, you know, you walk in and say hello and somebody doesn't speak, focusing on you doing a good job. Yes, you know, we want to do the common good of whatever the goal is of the mission of the company that we're working for. But at the end of the day, if we kind of focus on ourselves and we remain positive and focused on what we want to do and surround ourselves with those other people who are positive versus the person who's bringing, did you hear what the supervisor said? And you're like, no, I didn't. Well, it seems like he doesn't even realize we're all in this, you know, doing this hard work. And you start allowing those things to eat away at you versus maintaining your peace and positive attitude where you were in the first place. You know, so it takes a little bit of skill and some kind of soft skill to not be pulled into a negative mindset in a place, especially a place or people with bad attitudes and low work morale. Anybody else have anything to add? Was that somebody?
I was going to say, with the soft skills, sometimes where I've seen where it has actually flipped, you know, because of the diversity in the workplace, you can be that person with that great attitude, always trying to bring cheer, but then it get flipped. How do you deal with that?
Well, what do you mean by flipped?
Like the gentleman just spoke, like he said he was a jokester. Well, let's just say I was the jokester, you know, always trying to keep a happy medium in the workplace.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have someone else come along. Why are you always joking? Why are you always trying to make someone happy? It get flipped. So do you pull away and say nothing, or do you just remain who you are? So you don't become the one that they are complaining about. Why she always got a joke? Why she always trying to make someone happy?
Sure. I think a fair balance. You know, if you're in an environment that shuns that, or you know, that is not receptive of that, and you choose to remain in that environment, yeah, there may be some adjustment on your part. But you know, and this takes a little bit of skill, or maybe a lot of skill. At the end of the day, and I'll always kind of say, it's, you know, about you and who you are. So if you can go in every day and maintain a positive attitude and I believe in self-talk and mirror talk. That's not the workshop we're on right now, but I believe in self-motivating and that kind of thing. So if you can't be exactly who you are in a space like that, then you be who you are in your own space. And that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to have a shield up that doesn't allow the negativity in. And it takes a lot of work that you don't pour out too much on a situation that is not receiving it. Then it's wasting. If you're pouring, you know, water onto a counter into a cup, it's waste. So that's going to take a little bit of skill. And I'm the one person, I promise you, and it may not seem as easy as it sounds, but I'm a person that if you are in an environment that is draining you and you are unhappy and you just absolutely cannot be who you are, then that job begins to fund your work search. We're at work 40 hours plus a week. And if you are not happy and it's not conducive to your I don't want to say spiritual, but your well-being, then it's time to maybe look for something else. It just may not be the environment for you. And when you take that chance and adapt to a new idea of something, you'll be surprised at what you will find that could be better for you. So in a nutshell, I would say, don't pour out, you know, your energy, positivity on what's going to be wasted. Maintain it for you. Maintain who you are and keep your positive attitude within the realm of what you're doing. And if it's draining and dragging you that can't be done, then it may be time to look for something else. Tony, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Thank you.
You're absolutely welcome. I hope that helped. Tony, you have anything? Because I don't know everything. I'm not an expert on everything. Or
no, I agree. I mean, you know, stuff like that where you're talking about, you know, sometimes people might not see it the same way you do with your bright personality. I mean, myself, I'm not the most approachable person, but in my position, you know, that's kind of difficult since I do have to work with people. So you just got to find ways to work around it. You know, with me not having the most enthusiastic, you know, physical appearance, you know, I try to adjust by connecting with my students. Like you said, you know, good morning, you know, how's your weekend, small talk like that, just to make people more comfortable. You know, we're not everyone's cup of tea, so we just sometimes have to analyze that situation and kind of, you know, make a decision. You know, maybe if someone isn't as receptive as you would hope to be, you know, maybe don't force it. You know, do everything that's more comfortable within your situation. If I, you know, reached out to Quan and started talking to him and he just didn't give me the time of day, maybe not make them feel more uncomfortable by pushing. So just kind of analyze the situation and take it from there, I would say.
Yeah, that's great. I like that, not pushing it, you know, because people, while you have the right to be who you are, other people absolutely have the right to be who they are. One of the hardest things not one of the hardest things, but, you know, one difficult thing that I had to teach my kids, especially in middle school, you know, when everybody has these, you know, personalities that are kind of coming out. Everybody's not going to like you. Like Tony said, you're not going to be everybody's cup of tea, and that is perfectly okay if you're dealt with respect and you're at work and you can, you know, coexist in a space and work together to get a job done. then accept that. And then there's some people that you're going to build relationships with, and end up building friendships with outside of work. So it's just a matter of, kind of like Tony said, assessing the situation. And that really touched on this next slide. So I don't know if we really need to go back, into it so much, but pertaining to relations between people, between you and others.
Real quick, Francesca.
Yeah, thanks, James. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. I only got 4 tiles. Hi, thank you.
It's okay, I'm still here. So yeah, this is important from the standpoint of interviews, and even like from the standpoint of networking events. So I know right now we're all kind of stuck in our homes, so there is going to be a time where we can go back out to do networking events, and this is important too, to kind of have that, create that small talk, and like what is the first thing you say to someone, and kind of try and build that relationship. I remember reading an article one time. I'll have to look up this article, but it's like all these like tips that you can use when you're at a networking event, how to start a conversation, like how to present yourself in like an elevator pitch. You'll be talking, there'll be workshops talking about elevator pitches as well too. But those are kind of key things, because you never know when you'll need these interpersonal skills.
Thank you for adding that. Yeah, networking and job search, job fairs and things like that. That's very, very important. So even before you get to the workplace, and networking and letting people know that you're looking for work and things like that. So yeah, thank you, James. I appreciate that. I'll add that to the slide for next time. Appreciate it. Common sense, go for it. Anybody got any jokes, classics, examples, things that they've experienced? As you can see, the guy here, his job is to saw that limb off the tree, right? But he's sitting in a position that he's not using very good common sense. Anybody have anything to add about that? And my grandma used to say, good sense isn't common. She would say, good sense ain't common. It's a quality not everybody has. Some people have a lot of book smarts, but they don't realize sometimes the obvious. So what, anybody have anything they want to add there with just using basic good judgment, kind of like you guys said too, with getting to know people and being yourself. Good judgment is that if you walk in a room and everybody is very solemn and somber and something's going on, you don't kind of walk in cracking jokes. You kind of assess and see what's going on. That's just using good judgment, right?
Yeah, I had this situation where I was helping my aunt move, and had my younger brother come help, and I learned that day that he might be lacking some common sense. I guess he was kind of just like aloof though, like not being aware of his surroundings, but he could not really keep up when I was trying to team move some things.
Okay.
It was funny to me.
Okay. And sometimes common sense is one side of it, and then paying attention to the situation. You have good common sense, you got a million things going on, and you pour milk in the coffee maker, or something. That's just an example, but another soft skill is being in the moment. We talk about that in our life balance, but really being in the moment and paying attention to a situation, like with moving, like this couch is going to fit through this door, but it's not going to angle to fit through the second door. Let's think about this first before we start trying to maneuver it. What's the best way to do this, kind of thinking things through. A lot of times people have common sense, they just don't take time to think, stop and think, plan logistically how something should be done. Anyone else have anything to add? All right, I appreciate you guys' feedback, because this is pretty, short, straightforward information, but I appreciate the feedback I can add to it. Good personal appearance, that's, I don't know if that's, I will put it under soft skills, but I think the thing is not with this is, especially if we're starting in a new job or a new industry that we're not typically accustomed to dressing for, or thinking about certain things with that. The idea is making sure that we're neat and clean. And also our work area is neat and clean. Good personal appearance is going to vary by people. I have this natural situation happening that doesn't may not always fall into every environment properly. But if I get my foot in the door and I have an opportunity to share my knowledge or my skills or qualifications, whether it's in an interview or something like that, you know, my personal appearance may not matter as much as the fact that I am dressed accordingly for the job, and I'm able to, you know, and I'm just using me as an example, but and able to communicate my skills and qualifications as well. So we want to kind of make sure that we're neat and clean. Our work area is neat and clean. Resumes that we hand out at a job fair or an interview are not crumpled. They're not, you know, I promise you, I mean, this is a really kind of gross example, but somebody gave me a resume with like a blood smear on it, a little small blood smear. And like, are you kidding me? Like, what, you know, oh, I had a hangnail, and I'm like, dude, really? No, I do not need this resume. Take this back. Not good common sense, not good thinking, obviously not very neat and clean, not just a good situation at all. So we need to be mindful of things like that. Again, it's not what you have, but if what you have is neat and clean and cared for, that would kind of be half the battle. Any questions or comments about that? Can kind of seem to be a sensitive area in some ways, but if anybody has anything to share, I'm open. All right, let's keep it moving. Willingness to take instruction and be held accountable. Anybody work with anybody that knows all the answers? I think we've all had that in some case or another. Just as long as it's not you. You know, stand your ground. If there's something you really believe in, there's a way that you can stand your ground on, you know, this is how I think this should go, or I think this is a good idea that I have. But at the end of the day, it comes with the teamwork, the adaptability and flexibility, being willing to take instruction on how something should be done and being held accountable. You know, we all make mistakes. So admit mistakes, that take responsibility, be held accountable. If you don't make the deadline, then don't wait until 4 days after the deadline to say you didn't do it. Be held accountable to say, hey, I don't know if I'm going to make this, ask for help, you know, take somebody else's instruction or idea for doing something, but not to be in a situation where you're blaming others for what's not getting done, or, you know, I guess just taking responsibility. But anybody have anything to add there? Any stories or personal experiences? All right. Able to relate to coworkers in a close environment. And this has actually come up on a few occasions already that we've kind of talked about. You know, if you kind of come in and you're the person with the positive attitude and maybe joking a little bit, or me with the unicorns and butterflies at the time when my coworkers weren't trying to hear that. But we all have a common thread. And I remember learning this in high school and in a communications class. A common thread is everybody kind of talks about the weather. You know, man, I was really glad to get that, you know, have that sunshine yesterday. Small talk, able to be comfortable, and again, not holding people hostage and learning not how to be held hostage. You know, you ask somebody, how's your day? And they start telling you about every ache and pain they've ever had, you know, and you not being the person to do that, but just to be able to make small talk. Team activities are great. Someone mentioned having to, you know, be on a team for a class or a job. Those are always great activities to kind of help build strengths and communication and getting to know each other. But does anybody have anything to add on that?
When I'm at my job, we're like partnered with others, and sometimes it's really easy to talk to someone. I'm usually not the person to like push a conversation, but when they have like a good personality, it's just like we are there's like really easy to have conversation. And I think I forgot what I was trying to say, but yeah, I wanted to point that out. I like that.
Just communicating with others.
Sometimes it's really easy to make like that small talk if like good chemistry.
Right. And being aware of it, like you kind of mentioned, you know, and if it's not for everybody, then you, and somebody else mentioned earlier, like, you know, hey, how's it going? Fine. Okay, well, enjoy your day, you know, and I mean, we just kind of have to learn to assess, you know, the situation. So yeah, very good. Thank you for sharing that, Jaquan. I appreciate you. So we're down to a few of the last slides here. This is kind of a big one. It was titled something else when they sent it to me, but paying dues, I kind of call it, you know, taking time to learn, the job, to understand your journey in the process, not expecting that you're going to go into a job and be the boss. It used to be a big thing in the, I don't know what decade or something, but people would say it was a positive thing in an interview, and they say, where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years? And you would tell the interviewer, I want to be doing your job. And they thought that that showed initiative and, you know, drive, that you want to move up in the company. And that's great. They're asking about 5 to 10 years though. You don't know what that person's journey was to be to where they are, or what other people's journey is. You know, we've all probably been in a job where we see somebody who's above us and he's like, I don't know how that guy got that job. I could do that, running circles around him. He has no idea. Okay, you might think that, but that's not something that you want to say. I encourage people to check out a website called onetonline.org. That's O, N as in Nancy, E-T as in Tom, onetonline.org. And you can type in whatever your skills are, not only job titles, but what a quality skill that you possess in the keyword search, and it'll give you a list of a lot of other jobs that share similar skill sets. So you might find that, man, I've been, you know, a cashier at Walmart all this time, but I could also look into becoming a financial advisor. What's the education there? Oh, I can go to school for a 2-year degree and become, you know, that, or as you may have already done with this IT journey. So if it's a stepping stone for you, that's great. That's awesome that you have plans to move forward, but you don't want to go into a line of work or in an interview or a networking situation, speaking yourself higher than the position that you're stepping into. Dream big, move forward, do what it takes, but don't speak it in a situation as that, you know, this is beneath you. And you're just here for, just like if you went into an interview and they say, or you got a job and they say, hey, and I'm using Jaquan, and they say, hey, Jaquan, yeah, great, welcome to the company. You know, we have you here for now, but you're kind of a stepping stone for us. When we're ready to get somebody that can really do the job, you know, you're out of here. You wouldn't want to hear that, right? An employer doesn't want to hear that from you about your place in their, or your journey in their place, if that makes sense. Does anybody, but you know, I have the picture of the ladder here, climb high, shoot for goals and all that stuff, but be mindful of how you journey that process. Anybody have anything to add? Okay. Statistics and numbers. You know, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this, but 93% of employers say that soft skills are weighed more heavily when looking at candidates than their academic credentials. What I think by being weighed more heavily means it's very important. You obviously are not going to hire, you know, a bicycle repair person as a mechanic. You know, definitely their credentials academically and their work skills are going to weigh heavily. But like the example that somebody gave before, you know, I'm going to kind of look at the person who's a team player, willing to go the extra mile, talks about their work ethic and things like that. A lot of people believe that they're job ready. Oh, I can do that. All I got to do, you show me how to do it and I can do it. And that's that fast learner that we talk about, which is great, a great sell in an interview, but also be, again, willing and open to the process. What they put on the job description is the surface. What you're going in there to actually do, you have to learn how they want it done. I've been in human resources before doing this. I did HR for 15 years, but it was different at every company that I went to. They had their rules, their way of doing things. Go into a place with an open mind, ready to learn. And at the end of the day, and I'm sorry, I'm familiar with the slide until I can't see it. But a lot of people don't realize that soft skills are as necessary for career advancement as knowing and doing the job. You know, if I'm the director, I'm not gonna promote a person to be a manager because they, you know, complete 100 widgets per hour, but they have very poor people skills. They don't have leadership skills. I can't put them into a position of leadership if they don't, you know, carry certain soft skills. So a lot of times people don't really realize what values employers are looking for, not only the ability to do the job, the education that's required and all of that, but also the soft skills. And again, I encourage you when it comes to, looking for work, pay close attention to the job description, because they tell you not only the credentials that they want, but also the soft skills that they're looking for in a lot of cases. And sometimes they're hidden in there. A lot of times people may have everything that they need, but they're not hired, promoted, or they receive poor performance evaluations because of lack of soft skills. A bad attitude is the biggest one. A bad attitude is the biggest one. Poor time management, and then not being accountable for not getting things done. Well, you gave me all this work to do. Well, I did give you all this work, but if you manage your time well, you should be able to get it done. And then, don't blame the coworkers or the supervisor or the management team. I challenge you guys in the list of information that we have here, or even if you Google soft skills and look up some details and information on more details and information on soft skills, identify one that you would like to develop. I shared with you that I don't adjust well to change, or I didn't. I actually do much better now. Being adaptable to new ideas and assignments and opportunities. Think about an event or situation that you wish you had applied that certain soft skill, and then rewrite the narrative for the next time that comes along. All right, anybody have anything to add or say? We still got you? Everybody still there? All right, anybody? Okay, well, I appreciate your time and attention. If you have anything else that's, that you want to add, or email me, my information is here on the last slide, or you can reach out to Tony. I just don't know exactly. I'm trying to see if I can, there we go. There we go. Anybody else have anything to add or say? We, just under an hour, so it's kind of straightforward information. Hey, Heather. Hey, Tony, you want to wrap up? Oh, somebody had something? Is it Remy? No?
All right, no other questions. So if not, then I just want to let you guys know what we have planned for next week. You guys might have seen Brian in here. He's going to be presenting the next one, which I feel like is very important. LinkedIn. So I know that one of the assignments you guys had was to create a LinkedIn account. So this is going to be a good opportunity for you guys to pump up your account. So yeah, so make sure you guys do attend next week's session because you guys will definitely be using LinkedIn moving forward. So any other questions?
Tony, I will send you the link. Oh, somebody has a question, and then I'll touch base with you. Go ahead.
So I see like James and Carrie, are you guys using like green screens? I'm like super curious. That's
yeah,
really cool.
there's a way that you can, if you have a saved picture, I don't know how to do it myself, but if you save a picture, you can use it as your background.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Actually, I should have just lied and said this was my house.
Yeah. I thought it was like a video error or something, but I was like, that looks like a green screen.
Yeah, they showed me if you hover at the bottom next to your video icon, there's a up arrow to the right of it, and you can click on that, and then it'll guide you through uploading. I had Shaka Khan behind me yesterday, so they, I decided to go with the house this time.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Guys, I welcome, this was a new experience for me. We've presented this information, us employment and training specialists at Milwaukee Job Service, do this regularly, but this was a new experience doing it this way. If you want to offer any feedback to Tony anonymously or send an email to me directly, please feel welcome to do that, because if this is going to be a way of life for us, like I told you, I believe in conquering situations, and I want to master this and make sure that everybody's getting a good benefit from what we have to offer. Tony, I will also send you the link to the video. It was just the same thing in a short 30-second or 1-minute deal. And if you want a PDF of the slides, I'd be happy to do that as well. But I welcome feedback, and thank you guys for contributing.
Can I just make a comment real quick?
Yes.
I did a session a couple of weeks ago and we covered a little bit of what you really kind of went more in depth on. But I had encouraged the group to start making a list of examples that would show certain skills and abilities. And I'm just wondering how many of the people on this conference today, this is their first time using Zoom. Because I think that also shows adaptability, going outside your comfort zone, figuring out kind of what your expectation was going in. Maybe you were afraid, and now that you've successfully completed your first Zoom session, that could potentially be a great answer in an interview.
Absolutely.
Of like, tell me a time when you were put in a position, you didn't know what to expect, or you felt like it wouldn't work out well, and what was the outcome. This would be a great example. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. I'll use that as well. Thank you, Carrie. Yeah. And we talked a little bit about adaptability. I don't know when you came in at one of the earlier examples, but yeah, it's, you know, things are ever changing, especially with technology and things like that. And using something like this for an example in an interview is excellent idea. I will add that to my presentation. That's really an important key.
I was actually on and heard most of your presentation. And again, another thing that you brought up that I had brought up in a presentation that I think, again, requires a lot of emphasis is people's ability to be coachable. Because at the end of the day, a manager who's looking to hire somebody, they don't want somebody who knows everything. They want to be able to teach people, and they want people who are open to being taught and being open to being coached and to be better professionals. So
Totally agree.
yeah, so
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, because you can have done something for 10 years, but you didn't do it at that company. And that company wants it done their way in conjunction with the people that you're going to be working with at that location. Yeah, that's key. Thank you for adding that or reiterating that. Anything else? We have time. I mean, I'm on the clock until 4:30. I want to hang out till 4:30 and talk about this stuff. Hey, James.
I would just say when we're coming on live or we're talking, having feedback for one another, please mute your phones or whatever device you're using, because when you're giving certain information, I couldn't hear.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, I tried.
There's too much chatter in the background. Maybe they don't know how to mute, or I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what device they're using. But if you're on your phone, if you tap the screen, it should tell you at the bottom or the top how to mute your screen. Because you brought a lot of good points in. I want to say thank you, because you just gave me a little reflection of myself in some of the soft skills, you know, how to deal with them, or maybe it's not you, it's the other person. But I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Now, you were coming up as iPhone. Is your name Leslie?
Yes.
Okay. Finally, your name pops up at the end of everything. So it was iPhone at first. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Actually, I changed that. I didn't realize I had the power to do that. But
Oh, you have the
sorry.
power.
you know, I figured that'd be nice to have Leslie's name instead of iPhone on there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you, Tony. Anybody else, James? Anything you want to add or?
Nothing from my end. Tony has all the power, all the power.
All the power in his hands. All right. Well, I don't want to drag this out. I mean, you guys are welcome to my email contact information. Only my phone, I would say, but we're working from home now, so I have to check messages and get back to you in a day. Feel welcome to email me. That's immediate response. Carrie, it's really great to see you, and it's great to meet all you guys, although virtually. I wish you the best with this program. It is an awesome opportunity. Take advantage of it. There's so much more to offer. The behind the scenes stuff that went into getting it to where you guys are receiving the best that you could possibly receive right now from this program is unimaginable. So just, you know, grab a hold and take it and just do amazing things. I hope to see you all again soon. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. Tony, James, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Thank you.
Are we all off?
Yeah, feel free to sign off unless you have any questions. I'll be hanging out for a couple minutes.
All right. Have a great day.
Yeah, you too, Leslie. Have a good
All right.
week.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Oh, and Sunita, we don't need to have our meeting at 11:15 since we talked earlier today, unless you would like. Sunita, are you there? You were on mute, so I couldn't hear you.
Hey, Tony.
Hey, Sean, how you doing?
All right. Hey, I had a question. Do you have you said you have her contact information?
Francesca?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yeah, I can provide you her contact.
Okay.
Yeah, did you just want her email?
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Or phone, whatever one. Because yeah, I had a situation with my unemployment. I was like, wow, she works here. Let me see if I can get somebody I can get in contact with because I've been having trouble getting anybody in regards to that. So
Yeah, I can forward you her. What I'll do is I'm gonna send out the information that she provided,
got it.
the PowerPoint and what was it, the video that she wanted you guys to watch, and then I'll CC her in that email, so you can have her email. Then just take a look at the top. Yeah, and you should be able to connect with her if needed.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
All right,
no
enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, you too.
See you Monday.
Yep.
All right.
Lucky, you still there? Hi, Sunita.